Hey everyone, welcome to Ask Amy. This is the last Ask Amy for 2021, but I'll be back in 2022 with a new question and answer every week. So send me your questions, anything at all. As you know, if you've watched this at all, I'll speak to anything. I get a lot of questions about the understanding that I share here around habits and anxiety in particular, but this bigger way of seeing how all human experience works, who we are beyond our experience, it applies to anything and everything, and at least gives like a different take, a different peek into anything that humans are up against. So any questions at all, please send them my way. I love getting all of your questions and I love speaking to them here. So today I have a question from Azra, who says, I've been following you for quite a while now, and I drift away from this paradigm, then I come back to it. It hasn't sunk completely in yet, and I so want it to. I was also part of your little School of Big Change in spring 2020, and I love the experience. I'm also reading your book now, and I'm loving it. However, there are always many questions in my head. Mine too. So she says, I think I understand that it's all just thought, and we should ignore it as such. However, what I'm having difficulties understanding is if it's just a thought and as such should not be taken seriously, how do we live our lives? For example, my son is sick, he's coughing, he has a high fever, and I have all these thoughts telling me what I should do. Give him some medication, take off his clothes, etc. If I ignore the thought, how do I act responsibly in this kind of situation, or any situation for that matter? You keep saying that we're being lived and life will take care of it. I understand, but we still need to plan things, lunch boxes, going to work, getting a new winter jacket for my kids, and all of this planning manifests itself in the form of my thoughts. I'm concerned about my husband's health. He doesn't eat healthily, doesn't do any exercise. If I ignore these thoughts, how else do I get things done? I am, for example, constantly telling him what he should or shouldn't do. Should I just shut up and trust that it will be taken care of by life itself and just laugh at the thoughts that make me worry? I hope my question makes sense. Okay, so it makes perfect sense, very common. Um, so, a couple things. I mean, the biggest thing that I want you to see, Azra, is that this is not about ignoring anything. It's simply about seeing that everything is projection. It can't be any other way. There is no husband, there is no sick child, there is no lunchbox, no meeting, no anything, no Azra, no me, no trees, no sky, nothing outside of our own perception. And our perception is seen, taken in through the filter of thought, right? There's thought here. There's thinking that brings it to life. So if everything is thought, and that's what you say, it's all just thought, everything is projection. Everything we see is projected through thought. How is there now in us that's separate from all of that that's supposed to ignore that? It's not. It can't happen. It's so much kind of cleaner and simpler than that. This is never ever about ignoring anything. It's really not. It's simply about seeing that everything we experience is a projection and there's lots and lots of thought happening all the time. Now I hear your mind, I think, because my mind said the same forever and everybody I talk to, his mind says the same thing. Okay, now comes all the questions. Okay, then all of your excellent questions. Well, then how do I make it through life? How do I make a decision? How do I get my husband to be healthy? How do I help my sick son? All of these questions that come in, and that's okay. Those questions are going to be there. Now, I guess in that, just want you to see that's what a mind does. The fact that I know those questions are going to be there because everybody has them. The fact that your mind's doing it too. This is what a mind does. A mind thinks that it's controlling everything and that it needs to be responsible. It's responsible for doing everything, like you say in here so well. I need to decide. Plans need to be made. It's not separate, it's not inconsistent to say that everything is thought and there's a mind constantly thinking it's running the show. So there's nothing to ignore. There's just, again, stuff to see in this. So when you say, for example, my son is sick and I have all these thoughts telling me what I should do and gives you all these options, if I ignore the thought, how do I act responsibly in this kind of situation or any situation? It's not about ignoring those thoughts. It's about seeing, okay, there's a mind. Of course, there's something that appears to be a real problem, and there's a mind coming up with a ton of solutions. This is not about a sick son. Anything you give other examples. Anything in life, your mind will do that. That mind will too. Everyone's will. That's the job of a mind. It's a problem solver. It's constantly coming up with solutions. You don't have to ignore those. They're just there. You also don't need to see, there's also the bit in here about how do I act responsibly. So that's showing that there's a bit of a maybe misunderstanding there, that if you don't listen to these thoughts and figure out which ones are the ones to listen to, that you'll just be irresponsible. And that's not true. This is where this really lies. What's really at the root of this. We don't, I'm going to put this more as a question for you to consider. Don't take my word for it. But as it looks to me, I don't see that we need to figure out what to do in each and every moment. We aren't making all these choices through thought in our mind, meaning when your kid is sick and your mind's racing with all these things, it's not on you to go into this big flurry of thought and figure out which ones to listen to and which ones to not. And then when you find a good one that you should listen to, put that into action. This is what I mean when I say life is living us. That happens. There can be tons of thought there, and you will take care of your child. You just will. The thing is, there's a mind over there saying, you're not taking care of him the right way, and what if there's a better way? And that's just what a mind does. You see, this is huge. You will do things. You will take care of him. It will get done, and your mind is not responsible for that. All of that thought is not making it happen. Same with your husband. I love this because I can relate. I think we can all relate. You say he doesn't eat healthy, he doesn't do any exercise. If I ignore these thoughts, how else do I get things done? I'm constantly telling him what he should or shouldn't do. Should I just shut up and let life take care of it? Well, I don't know. Is it helping when you constantly tell your husband? I have to kind of assume it's not, in part because I know humans, in part because, I mean, sure wouldn't work with my husband. It wouldn't work with me if he was constantly telling me what to do. It would probably push me in the other direction. And if you have to constantly do it, I'm guessing it's not really helping. So look already. Now this is what a mind will say. Well, I have to just keep saying it. I have to have him hear it. This has to get through to him. I'm right. He's wrong. I see it. He doesn't see it. On and on and on. And meanwhile, he's not listening to you. And the more you talk, the less he listens. But see, it's not like, oh, just throw my hands in the air. I don't care. Whatever, fine. Just die of heart disease or something. It's not that either. It's you seeing, each of us seeing, wow, there's a constant problem solving process happening in here. It's not personal. It's not about your husband. These are not ideas he needs. He has his own wisdom for himself. He gets his own intuition. He has lived himself through himself. Now, your mind might not like the way that he's being lived. My mind doesn't like the way my husband's being lived sometimes. That's on us. Like, truly, that's when we feel that friction, and that shouldn't be. That's our opportunity to see our mind going. Will you now? Okay, so bigger than all this repetitive thought, you don't need to figure that out and act on some and do all that stuff. It's so much simpler than that. You see that all that's happening because it is for him too. It is for everyone. That's what minds do. And it's not about ignoring it, but it's about seeing it and seeing that's what a mind does. This is not where the answers are, is in this big flurry of thinking and solutions. Life is living us. You can't help it but to, at times, make suggestions to your husband to improve his health. You can't help it. It'll happen when it happens. And sometimes it'll feel like it's not the time. Or you see that it's going nowhere. It's pushing him away and it makes sense to stop. This is how life lives us. And life is living him. Now, can his mind get in the way a little bit? Or, can he be in denial and all? Whatever, sure. But that's moving, changing thought too. At the end of the day, life is living every single one of us, and we're seeing what we're seeing, and a mind isn't controlling it all. But man, will a mind tell us that it is. It'll say exactly what you said here in your question, which is why this is such a great question. Without me, everything's going to fall apart. Without me, without all the plans, everything's going to fall apart. And just look. Look in your own experience. Look in other people's experience. how are we even holding everything together? Now, there's a lot of thinking, but it's a misunderstanding to think that all this thinking is doing things out in the world. This is huge. So ease into this one. Just because there's a ton of thinking and solutions being tossed out doesn't mean those solutions are doing anything in the real world. I want you to sit in this possibility that they're kind of two separate things, that life is living you, and it's doing that regardless of all this conversation about what should happen, what needs to happen, what isn't happening. That's all just conversation. Now, I'm not saying it's truly that separate, but I want you to play with that because it'll open some stuff up and help you see, yeah, thoughts just happening and life is just happening. And you don't have to get in the middle and balance it. It's just not that fragile. It's not on you at all. So I hope that's helpful. Yeah, very, very, very common questions. Very great questions that I know we all feel this way at times. I know this will relate to a lot of people. So thank you for sending your question. Hope it's helpful. Again, send your questions to Ask Amy at the Little School of Big Change about anything at all. I love to speak to them, and have a really happy holiday season, a great new year, and I'll see you guys back in January. Bye, everyone.